My name is Nikolai Shtikov, and I'm Global Training and Education Specialist in Co-Diagnostics. And today we will concluding our final webinar from the monthly sessions of the webinar. And today's topic is stackable guides. What is this and how we can differentiate the stackable guides? So, for example, if we have the case like this, and we have indication to extract all teeth, and we decide to extract all teeth and to create FP3 solution, what we can do? We can create, first of all, cage to lateral fixation pin. And cage could be solid, like in these small pictures. You just put this cage on the teeth and drill, and after that you will receive the holes in the jaw, and you will be able to put the following guides. Or you can create the stackable cage. You can create the cage and the frame like two different pieces, connect them, put it in the mouth, and then drill, but drill not in the cage, drill in the stackable frame. After that, if you did the first guide like a solid guide, you also can remove this guide and put this frame, or you can go directly to osteotomy guide if you don't want to make a bone reduction. Or if you did like a stackable solution, is like in the picture below, you just remove the pink part of the guide and then extract the tooth and perform bone reduction. After that, after bone reduction, you can go to non-stackable osteotomy, or you put the stackable part. In the picture, this is a green picture. Osteotomy guide. And after that you place the implants, you put abutments, and then you have also plenty of options. If you did all of the steps as a stackable, you can proceed to the stage of the prosthetics, of the temporary restoration. You can create the cage for the temporary restoration, and just mill this temporary restoration and put it with the cage, and put the cage in the same holes as you used before. Or you can make this like a stackable part, stackable cage, or you can print your temporary restoration with the small, I call this part as a hands, small hands to connect with the stackable guide. So let's go a little bit deeper, because this picture may be small and less understandable. Here we can see initial situation. So the next step will be open the flap. After that, you have two options, as I told you before, solid or stackable solution. Look at this video, please. And here you can see stackable solutions. So everything all right, but then doctors start to drill. And look at this. He drill, but the stackable part moves. So this is very dangerous, because if the stackable part move, the bone reduction guide move, all of the following steps will be incorrect. That's why I highly recommend you to make this very first guide, initial guide, solid. Yes, you can make it stackable, but you need to be sure that they are not moving. And how you can check this? So you need to be sure that due the surgery, everything is all right. But if something is not all right, if they moves, so you will fall. And that's why, to receive the good result, I recommend you to make this first guide solid, and the following steps you can create as a stackable. But of course, if you're sure that you are all right, that you will fix everything good, you can go to the stackable. So after that, it doesn't matter how you create the first initial guide, solid or stackable. You receive your frame in the same you put the frame on the jaw and put the pins in the same holes, right? Then you extract the teeth. If you need to perform a bone reduction, you can perform bone reduction. And after that, you are able to osteotomy guide to follow to the following steps. So also solid or stackable. If you have solid solution, you just remove your frame and put in the same holes your solid guide for osteotomy. If you do stackable guide, you leave your frame, you don't remove lateral fixation pins, you just put this green part of the stackable guide. After that, you install your abutments, and then you able to put temporary restoration. And here you have also two options. You can see in the video that in the left hand side this is a cage, and in the right hand side this is a printed restoration with the holes. So both options possible to use. The benefits of the left side, that you can design actually FP1 restoration with the cage and just put there. With the restoration on the right side, the minuses of this restoration that you need to cut this part, these hands, and then you need to finalize it in the lab. A lot of surgery do this like in the right side, but with the cage is more suitable in a lot of cases. So again, it depends on you. You can do both of this. For the cage, it is little bit more complicated than right solution in the right side of the screen, but up to you. Then temporary restoration could be also, as I told you, cage or stackable solution temporary or stackable cage. Also, the cage could be stuck with the frame. And then we can go to the case directly. Do you have any questions? Not yet. Okay, I will open co-diagnostics. Let's wait for a second. Okay, my co-diagnostics work. Let's wait a bit because I cannot see that AI assistant also work. Yes, now it's fully download. How I can understand that AI assistant works because of this small site. And for example, this one, there was the case preloaded before. How you can start, as usual, you go to new, you open the folder, and you find your patient. We have Apollo. I just select the folder, click OK, click on import, and the system recognizes that this is the same patient, or maybe I can click new patient. Then we create the data set and click OK. AI assistant in edentulous cases is really not important, but I like the segmentation, and because of segmentation, I like to use AI assistant. Let's start and wait. Okay. Make it close. And here we click manageable. And again, everything is the same because we have here the assistant working, and I actually will check all of these steps when I will check AI assistant. That's why I go directly to step number 4, load model scan, and I need to find my patient. I will use today 360 scan, and I select lower denture with markers. Click open. So now we have this lower denture as a 360 scan. And now I need to use align to other object because I need to align with X-ray markers. And I don't have any objects because I didn't make segmentation yet. Of course, I can use this default segmentation, but it's not useful for me. I like more segmentation without maxilla jaw. And you saw that I click on the shortcut of the segmentation. I click with the right mouse button and select mandible. And then I create segmentation. Select mandible and also select reference fixation pins of mandible. After that, I go into close segmentation. And here, now you can see mandible and reference pins. So now we go to the next. And as usual, we align our points of the X-ray markers. Try to make them not too big. So these points should not include the jaw. This one a bit smaller. Okay, and let's go forward. And now we can check. Yes, it's okay. Actually, you can see that everything all right. So the border of the scan is fully repeat the gray area, and we can click finish. And I also can see that AI assistant finished this work while we are waiting for when my computer wake up. So now I go to the AI assistant. And here I have segmentation, patient coordinate system. I need to check it, correct it a little bit. So I put it in the center, panoramic curve, because this is a dentures case. I need to adjust it because when we have case with the teeth, the panoramic curve is automatically set here, but with the dentures case, we need to adjust it. And nerve canals. The purpose why I use AI assistant for edentulous cases. This is mostly nerve canals and 3D objects. Now we go to import this data. Actually, segmentation as a blue segmentation, I just need it only for visualization of markers, even it's not necessary. So now I can turn off everything and also maxima. And now I'm able to start planning my implants. I go to step number 5 and I select my implants. I will put VLC in 3.3. We will put here for implants. And after implant selecting, don't forget to click on this icon because we are centralized the view. And let's make roughly planning. I will put the simple implant ungulated, and we want to make bone reduction. That's why I will put them a little bit deeper. Actually, you can start with the bone reduction or with implant planning. Both options possible. Is up to you. If you prefer to start with the bone reduction, you can do this. So for example, I place implants like this. Let me check position of this. It's not perfect, but in our case right now, we just need to understand the workflow, right? So I put these implants, then I go to abutments and place abutments to all of the implants. I go to Straumann screw retain, click on apply. And also I like to change the height of the abutments. Maybe the length is 4.5 ungulated. And also I can change here position of the of the abutment. And let's see, because I see that the screw channel not in this position as I prefer, because maybe I need to change the angulation a little bit of this implant. And also I like to use angle between abutments. You can use this shortcut. You can click on adjust and find this shortcut here and just drag and drop in the gray area. Or also with the right mouse button click, you see angle between abutments, between implants, make parallel, fine alignment, so edit abutments. Here's also a lot of things as you can use in your planning. I will turn on angle between abutments. And this one I need to change as well. Let's see. Yes, here is better a little bit. And for example, the front ones, also I will change to these ones, 2.5. I think that's enough. So we can see that in the angle between abutments, the acceptable deviation is 21 degree, and actually we have the maximum is 6.4. Everything all right. And after that, if I turn off my model, so now I need to make bone reduction. How to do that? We need to go to the error menu here, and here we have cut profile. And you have different options actually. You can add implants base points. So if you start your planning with the implants, it's easy to create a bone reduction as a add implants base points. Now you have the roughly bone reduction line as like this. And then you need to extend this bone reduction line out of the bone. For example, because you will have like bone reduction like this, but you need to make it a little bit longer. You can put uh, point here, and you can put point here, and then you need to extend bone reduction out of the bone, because uh, if you create it like this, your bone reduction guide will not go in out of the bone, but you need to do this. And actually, if I click on the gray area, nothing happens. And how I can solve it? I can solve it in panoramic curve. You see that here I click and nothing happens, but if I click here, bone reduction line is here. And now I can correct it. And it's really necessary to make it out of the bone, this bone reduction line. And here as well. So you can create it. This is unnecessary point. It's my mistake. Right mouse button click and delete point. If you prefer this bone reduction line, you can stop on this, or you can create alternative line. Like again, I can click cut profile, for example, hide this one, the first one. And sometimes I do this like this. For example, we want to have line from here to here, and maybe somewhere in the middle. And also here. This option is very suitable if you start with bone reduction and then you place your implants. And of course, you can correct implants right now. So, okay. Actually, it's not bad. I like it more than first one. The next step, when we did it, you need to place pins, lateral fixation pins. And I usually place pins after bone reduction line. Why? Because I need to place my pins below the bone reduction line. I go to step number 5 and select my lateral fixation pins. In Straumann, they are located here. Where's Straumann? So we are here, and you can see template fixation pin. Select the pin and select how many pins you want to place here. Click OK. And after that, correct position of the pins. Red line, this is your bone reduction line. Actually, green line, this is your pin, your sleeve of the pin. Maybe it is too close to the implant, like this. So go next. And the last one. I use tangential view to understand that they are not not crossing. And actually here, I also can understand in 3D view very easily. And it's very necessary to put the pins in the different angle. For example, right now, they yes, they are correctly, but what is the mistake? The mistake if you place your pins almost parallel like this, that will be mistake because if you place them like this, your surgical guide will move. So you can click back, back, then again. Where's my pin? Maybe a little bit lower, but not too low because we can understand the soft tissue where it is, where is our soft tissue. So like this, it's correct. Okay, next step. And I think that front one I also want to, oh no, that's okay. So next step, we need to simulate our bone reduction. And I like to use my segmentation mandible. I click edit mesh. There is two options how to edit mesh. You can go directly edit mesh, or you can, if you have, for example, model with the teeth, this case is fully edentures, but sometimes you need to extract partly these teeth, and you can go to this arrow menu, and you have merge AI models. And if you select merge AI models, for example, turn off maxilla, and if you have some teeth, you can merge it with the jaw if you need. If you don't need, and then you click merge, and you have merged model here as a 3D scan, or just directly as I usually do. So edit mesh, and that's it. Less movement. Then to simulate it, I go to bone reduction simulation. I select my cut profile. I prefer cut profile 2. I like it more. And I can show it. And I click execute simulation. Now I have my jaw with the simulated bone reduction. Then it's necessary to click not apply. You need to click save as a copy, because if you click apply, you will lost your original model. Yes, you can actually go again to the to AI assistant and again generate AI assistant model. But why you need to do that? Just save as a copy and you will have both of them. Now you can see here both model with bone reduction and without. The next step, The next step will be bone reduction guide. You go to the guide design to step number 7. And here I prefer to select the model without bone reduction. So we have model with bone reduction and without. But for the frame, you need to use the bone without bone reduction. So with bone reduction, this is just for visualization. Where is your implants? Where is your abutments? Where is your prosthetics? And etc. etc. But for the surgical guide, it's better to use model without bone reduction. So I have here a chip model. Here you need to select with cut profile 2, and then next. Select insertion view, and actually your pins will be here and your bone reduction will be also, your bone reduction guide will be fits on the front area, and it's better to make it insertion view a little bit in front. And after that, your surgical guide will be like more precisely in the front area. Then we click next. Now you have your model. Here is actually nothing to do. And I forgot one important step. Sorry for that, but I forgot to place the sleeves. So now the system, because I forgot to place the sleeve system, ask me, do I want to continue to save this guide? Actually, I can save this guide. Yes. And then I just can open this. If you forgot the sleeves as me, so let's click select all of them, go to step number 6, select Stroma selected, and now you have all pins, all sleeves here. Now you have form fit geometry, click on close, and for example, you can move the sleeves right now. If you have a dentures case, you can move them on this position number 6. Okay, now we can go again to the bone reduction, to surgical guide, because I have a template, not finalizing guide. I can just double click on this, and then next, and you see now is everything all right. The previous steps was saved. Now what we need. We need to select pins. Sometimes you can use the pins like this, or you can extend them. You can extend the height of the pins. It is not necessary, but I usually do this because if you extend the pins, your surgical guide will be more wide, and less fear that this surgical guide will break to the surgery. Then you go next. Here, latch connectors don't need actually, and the offset, if you create your surgical guide as basic, also if you put some areas as in the previous guide, so you need to place some offset. But if you don't do anything, if you not create the area, like selected sleeve, selected teeth, and place it in the model, if you don't do this, offset is not effect to the next steps. Because I increase the sleeve position, so I need to put little bit offset, maybe 0.5. But generally offset will be setting here. And here you can see the width of the bar, the height of the bar, and for the plastic bone reduction guide, 4 millimeters. I think this is minimum of this type of guides, because sometimes they used to be not so, they used to be thin and they can broke, and 4 millimeters, uh, it helps them to not broke. Then you go next, and now you have your surgical guide. And you see, because I increase the sleeve positions, so now we have the surgical guide like this. If I don't do this, the sleeve will finish somewhere here, and here surgical guide will be not too wide. So after that, you don't need to do anything. Of course, you can create some retention points, but generally it's not necessary. You just go next, and then again next, and apply. So now you have your first surgical guide created. What is the next? The next, we need to create the stackable guide, the guide which will fit on this guide. And this guide, um, for this guide, I need to use this first guide as a frame. How to do that? Because system, when you go to step number 7, ask you every time base model. And the base model, this is your 3D models. And we cannot see here surgical guides. I click cancel. No, because 3D models, this is only this one. And how to put surgical guide to the 3D models? Just right mouse button click, convert into 3D model. And now you have this surgical guide here. Very easy. And after that, go to step number 7. And now you have this surgical guide in this menu. After that, you don't need to put cut profile. You don't need to put anything. Just click next. And now you have this frame as a base. Select insertion view, go next. And you can see sleeves and teeth. And teeth, actually, this is your positions, and as you can connect this, that will be like a holders which connect with the frame. And what we need to do, we need to place something like this on the back, and we need to place maybe here, here and here. And I like to make these parts little bit bigger. And very important that your parts, your connectors shouldn't be inside of this frame. Because if you create a surgical guide uh, with this point like this, you see now that connector will be inside and outside. And what mistake could be in the future steps? If you create it like this, here will be your bone inside of this surgical guide, whereas whereas nothing, there will be your bone, and you don't know how you will create, how you will perform your bone reduction. You can expect that you can create it as in the computer, but in real life it could be more or less. And in this case, if you put some points inside, that means that here inside will be plastic, and your surgical guide, your stackable guide will not fit. That's why it is important to put this part only on out of the guide, not inside. And also the same, you see that all of the lines, as we can see, they go not inside. For example, if you put some points here, like this, what is the mistake? That the bar will crossing the bone reduction line. And if this bar will be there, so there will be bone, and this bar will not give you to sit to fit this surgical guide, and you need in future cut this bar. So that's why you need to create nothing should be inside. Then you go next. Latch connectors, yes, I like them. And the offset, actually, I used to put the minimum offset for this. Wall thickness, 2.5, it's okay. And then next. And now we can see this surgical guide. When I put these arms for the last points like this with the latch connectors, sometimes they are not beautiful. Sometimes they are like this. And you can adjust maybe if I deselect latch connectors. Let's see how it looks. Maybe a little bit better. Or I can put these arms here, for example. So what is the next? Here we can see that this part closed. And actually how to put this, you need to extract the pin. There is no sense. You can cut it, of course, or you can open with inspection windows. Just select inspection window. And from the bottom side, make this inspection window bigger. Then again, inspection window. And one more. Then we go next. Don't forget engrave rotation markers and click next. Of course, in the preset, as I showed you before, you can go to the preset and select the surgical protocol. And now you click apply. And you have this surgical guide that perfectly fits on the previous one. Of course, if you don't like these hands like I did, for example, you can make it here. You can create the temporary guide, maybe with the double hands. And what about the initial guide? Because I didn't create initial guide. And for this actually case, because in the presentation, I showed you case with the teeth. And it is very easy. You just select the teeth as usual and pins. But what we can do if we have a dentures case, create this on the soft tissue. Yes, you can do this, but because you have your denture, it is very useful to use your denture just for the first training, for the first initial guide, or you can create this initial guide supported on the bone. But if the minus if you create this supported on the bone, if you open the flap and if this guide will not fits, you will lost all of the reference points. And that's why it's better to create initial guide based on the prosthetics, on the denture, because your patient can bite this denture, then you can make anesthesia, then you can make the first drilling, then you extract the pins and open the flap and proceed to the next steps. So for this, I can go to step number 7 and I select my denture. I go next. And here I can use the bottom scan, or of course I can invert it in the mesh editor. I don't need actually the implants. What I need just pins, and I need some carriers to put it here. Because I duplicate my prosthetics, I will put offset 0. Large connectors, no need, I think. And now I click Add Object and select my lower denture. So now I click Next. And it's very easy way to create initial guide. And apply. So now we have initial guide. And also let me show the bone reduction. So this is our initial situation. This is our bone reduction guide. Then we perform our bone reduction and our stackable osteotomy guide. And the first one I forgot, this one, the guide for initial pins situation. And then if you need to create the prosthetics, usually we export prosthetics from the CAD software, but of course you can edit in Mesh Editor and use exactly this situation as a prosthetics. It's not so beautiful like you can create in the CAD software, but it's also work. And to do that, you can open your original file in Mesh Editor. And for example, if you want to make it, let me see where it's finalizing. So it's until to number 4, for example, I can make it like this. Edit mesh. Go to cutting, deep eraser, and roughly cut this. Then you go to close the holes here in the repair mesh menu. You can see the select and close holes, select and close. We can also click repair mesh and maybe little bit adjust this area. Also I select Deep Eraser. Cut Gingiva apart. And again, select and close holes. This is very, very roughly. And then save as a copy because I don't want to lose the original file. And how to connect these prosthetics with the stackable frame. If I turn off everything. And now we can go to step number 7 again. And select here our surgical guide 1 because we need to have a frame. Then we go next. Next again. We don't need to have these sleeves. We just need to have these hands. Let's make them maybe 9, maybe bigger. And let's see. Go next. Offset 0.5 is better. Here is 0. So I will increase it a little bit. And let's see the final result. If I go to Add Object and select my denture. Yes, they are connected. That's all right. I will turn off them. Select inspection window. And cut again these holders with inspection window. Let's see right now. Yes, that's all right. Then you click next. And next again. And apply. So now this is the temporary restoration as we have. But this temporary restoration don't have any holes, right? And how to create the holes. Now you go to convert into 3D model. Now you have this guide here. I will turn off it. And after that, again, click with the right mouse button. There you have convert into 3D model. And here you need to click convert to model. After that, system will open this menu. And in this menu, you have an option. You have like analogs of the implants and of the abutments. And let's select the abutments here. For example, I have some presets here. I even have presets for the SRA abutment, but let's start from the beginning. Create implant analog. And what you can do here, you can create a very simple analog, which size of the hole you want to use. For example, 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters, or maybe you can create as a conus So you can create in the beginning the big one and then smaller. You can actually here save as a preset, or I will leave it unchanged. For example, like this. Now we have hole, and let's see which presets I have here. SRA hole. So I create them like this. But this is angulated. I have also preset for angulated. So how I create the preset, we can see here. So I just design it like this. This one was cylinder, then was a conus. You can see parameters here and the upper part. It's not necessary. I just to create the smaller holes. And maybe let's change this one as well. And after that, here we need to select subtract analog from the model. Then you click next. Next again. And here select non-blocking undercuts. And click add. And let's see what we receive. Now we have this model with the holes. And actually, because I create the preset with the small holes, we had small hole for the screw channel on the top. And here the hole a little bit bigger for screw retain abutments. You can create it as you wish, actually. So that was the way how to create these types of the guide. And also I didn't show you how to create the cage, right? Because we just create this one with the hands, but I told you that we can create also the cage. And the cage is, for example, we will create this from, let's find from this one. For the cage, we need to have two models, with holes and without holes. So I will use, for example, you have the final model without holes. Sorry, you have the final prosthetics with holes, and you have like a mock-up of prosthetics as fully the same, but don't have holes. And it's better to use without holes for the cage. You can also use with the holes, but better without holes. And in the end, you will have like two models. One is temporary without holes, and the second is not. Now you need to align actually this model with the holes, without holes, sorry. If you want to create the stackable cage, you need to align this with the frame, or if this cage will not be stackable, you can use just this works up. Let's show how to do the stackable cage. Let's look this. You can open edit mesh again, and for example, combine with surgical guide 1, like this. You can merge mesh, click apply, and then save as a copy. Let's change the name because there's a lot of same names, and name it. Okay, I call it for a cage, and then we go to step number 7. Here we select this model, and then you click next. Select insertion view, then click next again. Sorry, forgot one important model. Go back a little bit, click on cancel. No. So, and when we create this model, you can open your original WhatsApp again, convert convert to model, and now we need to show the insertion direction. For example, you select again implants, and I like to use the big hole here because this will be able you to create the cage holes. I like to use 6.5. And for example, if you create these cylinders, you don't need to subtract them because we subtract them when you create the wax up with the holes. But now I create this design just for the cage. And in this case, I need to merge them. So I select here, merge, then I click next, next again. And next again. And then add. And now we have, and let's call it something like this. Then again, you go to the surgical guide design, you select actually model for a cage, select insertion view. Here, you don't need to use the implant position. You don't need to use, no, you need to use the position for the pins. Of course, you can understand that if you use this cage as a stackable, so you use the wax up and the frame. If you use the cage as non-stackable, you just use wax up. After that, you select some teeth. I usually start from the middle. And make it bigger. Here, our wax up is not too big, and that's enough actually. Bigger. And let's see what we create. Yes, that's fine. You can also use draw contact area like this. It's not too necessary. It's actually not bad. Then you go next. Latch connectors. And then, yes, 0.5. Now we have this cage. So what's the next? The next I will put inspection windows and create very big inspection windows. Maybe like this. And also inspection windows because we have stackable cage from the bottom side. The bottom side is like this as usual. Then here as well. And one more window. And now what we need just a final stage. So you can understand that I create the cage, but I need to have in this cage the holes as a suits for the future restoration, right? And they should be bigger. And that's why I create the restoration with these cylinders. And what I have to do, I need to select add object and select this restoration. So for erase, I call it, but I don't need to merge them. I need to select here subtract. Don't remove overheating and offset. I don't need to select any offsets. And for right now, you can see that whatever where I put my inspection windows, now I have the big holes also for the screw channel. Then we click next. And now your stackable cage also has been created and applied. And of course, if you need to create wax up with the holes, it will be the same as we created a wax up with the holes and with the hands, but just without hands. I think we finish and thank you very much.